this journalist is writing an article about, let's say, a senator who had DUI sometime in the past, and right now this journalist is discovering it and talking about it. The senator might, because he has a lot of money and power behind him, use the court system of the United States and file a suit against the journalist and maybe that media platform, claiming for emotional distress or similar other claims such as defamation too is very popular. Yet right now, anti-SLAPP law has been very popular, and I think it's on a rise, and states are known and even big. There is a forum shopping such as New York State that really supports anti-SLAPP law, and those regulations are now used by the other side also to kind of be like, hey, make sure that you're not going to file a claim against us. And
okay.
I think that
all right, now Jeff, I guess up till now, the SLAPP lawsuits and such have really been impacted out with the pipelines and a whole bunch of. It's been a big deal out there in the West. How has it been used, and how are they looking at it?
Well, the anti-SLAPP laws, as I understand it, vary widely from state to state. And for example, I think California's is fairly broad, and it is definitely construed to protect speech made in connection with a public issue by a journalist. And that isn't true in all of the states, but it's true in many of them. Now, I think one of the interesting issues that this raises is it kind of privatizes the First Amendment. It kind of, I mean, you still need to be participating in a public process, but you can file an anti-SLAPP suit against a private party for interfering with your First Amendment rights. And what are the long-term implications of that? I think, it's anybody's guess, but it does seem to be aimed at creating fuller and more open dialogue.
No, I mean, I understand that, Jeff, but I mean, traditionally SLAPP lawsuits have been used we've seen it in the environmental field or various, what we would say, fringe areas. But nowadays with social influencers and everybody doing stuff on TikTok and you name the media platform, businesses have been using it, I think, to, sue individuals who have given bad reviews to their restaurants. I mean, how do you see that? Do you see it as an aggressive tool given the proliferation of comments on social media platforms? Jeff?
Well, I mean, I guess there you have to get into the law of your particular state on whether leaving a bad Google review for a restaurant is public participation, and whether that would be considered violating the anti-SLAPP laws. I'm skeptical of that, but I haven't studied it.
Okay, Adam, and then I'm coming to you, Fernando. Adam, let's start.
First of all,
is my Yelp review participating, public participation? Yes or no, Adam?
Yes, it absolutely is.
All right, fine. Is my restaurant review on Google or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. If I write a comment in an open forum saying, I don't like Adam because he's an idiot, is that public participation?
Yes, just as if I wrote a review saying I don't like Bill, he's an idiot.
Okay, so how about on Facebook, which is a private platform, and in a group that we self-selected in Facebook, in a group, if I write something there, is that public participation, Adam?
Yes.
All right, then, Adam, where does it stop?
Well, it stops here. If someone writes something that is defamatory, meaning they spread a falsehood about you, they spread a fact that's provably false that injures your reputation, then you have a remedy at law for a defamation lawsuit. But that's not what these SLAPP lawsuits are about. These SLAPP lawsuits are about suppressing ideas and viewpoints that people don't like. They're about chilling speech. They're about compromising the First Amendment. They're about degrading the marketplace of ideas. They're about disregarding diversity, and they're about disregarding democracy. They are from people who want to shut down speech that they don't like, and that's why they almost never succeed. The only lawsuits that would succeed would probably be if I had a slap suit against Guidry or against you. But otherwise, you have a remedy for defamation. But you don't have a remedy just because you go to court and say, I don't like that speech. It hurts me. It makes me uncomfortable. The entire purpose of a democracy and of the First Amendment is to protect speech that makes us uncomfortable so that we can have a diverse perspectives and diverse viewpoints that are essential to an informed citizenry.
Okay, but hang on, Adam. You're not quite off the hook. I mean, because these SLAPP lawsuits can include, and we've been focusing in on defamation, okay? But, you know, how about a tort, interference with mutually beneficial third-party contract? I mean, I've got, hang on, because there are a bunch of different areas. So Fernando and I have an agreement, and then you come along mouthing off about something, and then I sue you. That's not defamation. I'm saying you're interfering with an agreement that I have with Fernando. I can do that, can I? And that has nothing to do with defamation. It's just me trying to shut you up. Why is that?
Because the law provides you with independent avenues to sue people for those wrongs, such as tortious interference with contract or for defamation. So the law already provides you with those mechanisms to get remedies for those wrongdoings. What the SLAPP lawsuits are, in fact and in theory, are an attempt to suppress speech that people don't like. And in an era when social media is already suppressing speech it doesn't like, this is antithetical to democracy, liberty, and the First Amendment.
Okay, Fernando, daylights, bright stars, my New York lawyer. What Adam did not deal with was invasion of privacy. I mean, I'm a big time company. I have a private deal with Guidry. We're doing this great development. Everything's copacetic. And then along comes Adam sticking his nose. Everything else up till now is private. And suddenly because he's got a bug up his, derriere, he's interfering. And so I say, he's invading my privacy. Why can't I just bury him under litigation with all the money I have? Why can't I do that, Fernando? Adam says I can't. Why can't I?
I don't know. I have student loans. So as far as I'm concerned, you can bury him as much as in as much litigation as you want, as long as you hire me, so that you can keep paying my bill and I can pay off my loans and then buy a big house. So I have no problems with any of this personally, whether it's a SLAPP lawsuit or an anti-SLAPP lawsuit. The end result that in both instances, they both have a chilling effect on speech, because if somebody runs around saying something about you, our contract or whatever, and then we say, hey, we should sue them, and then we both look at each other and go, hey, wait a minute. New York State has an anti-SLAPP lawsuit. They're going to turn around and then turn it on us. We're going to have to pay him attorney's fees because the burden for us to meet is too high. Actual malice is a high burden to meet, no matter how many depositions you hold. We're going to step back and say, well, what can we do? And now we're going to lose business. We're going to lose contracts. We're going to lose anything else. It has a chilling effect on both sides. On the side of the SLAPP lawsuit, where it's being intentionally done to shut somebody up, or on the side of the anti-SLAPP lawsuit, where it's being held as a sword across your neck to keep you quiet.
Okay, all right, fine. Guidry, I'm curious because, I mean, here's the thing. I want to take it a bit of a twist, because I think most of the problems up till now we've seen exploding internationally over in Europe, because I think you alluded to that they're a little farther along the line with regard to the anti-SLAPP lawsuits. What can you tell us about that? Because, I mean, Guidry, at a fundamental level, I mean, setting aside shaming in public, it's how many times do we have people out there that say, this person is running amok online. I can't get my reputation back. I'm going to all these other people, but as soon as I do something, they shut down that website, they start up another website, and then they do this stuff again, and I have no way of stopping them except slapping them with a lawsuit. Why can't I use that in a justified way? What's the international community looking at it, and how are they looking at it, Keith?
Well, I think you said the key word. It has to be dealt with in a justified way. And before even going to international community, I want to join what Fernando said and what really I think needs to be discussed nowadays is the fact that, well, let's understand what is anti-SLAPP lawsuit. It's a person who has been sued asking the court to dismiss the case because in invoking the SLAPP opinion or SLAPP theory, saying that there was a public expression that is being tried to be curtailed in one or another way. Um, Here, I want to talk about New York, for example, because Fernando mentioned it. And to my extent, to my knowledge, when the sued person, files this claim, the request for action to the court, then right away from the defendant, the burden shifts to the plaintiff, and then plaintiff has to demonstrate with evidence, with substance, and in fact, in New York, substantial likelihood of winning the case for the case not to be dismissed. So that's where that chilling effect also comes on the other side. That is at this point being neglected because a lot of people say, yes, we understand that there is an issue, but you know what? We support the First Amendment right, freedom of speech, and that is the damage of, that we have to take for playing the game. But I think if we're going to let it like slide by, not doing anything, I think it might be um, become a tool to manipulate the freedom of speech.
Yeah, but Deidre, isn't the benefit in the suit that gap between my filing against Adam and Adam saying to the court, "Hey, court, make a decision about whether or not Bill has enough proof," because I'm going to argue in the meantime, well, Your Honor, before I can get to the proof, he's got to answer all my questions, and as long as I keep the questions coming about whatever it is, because discovery is a wide latitude. I mean, I get him in a deposition.
Yeah.
I can ask about anything. And isn't that where I can do all of my damage and eventually wear Adam out?
No, but Will, that's where the problem is. Anti-SLAPP lawsuits are becoming, or prevention of SLAPP against the SLAPP lawsuits is really becoming extensive in the United States, and there are a lot of states that, in fact, would allow Adam to close the case that you have against him before discovery, before any exchange of the evidence. And I understand the legitimate concern of the saving money. As we know, discovery is the most expensive part of the litigation. Yet, how many parties do really know or are ready to have substantial evidence of, like, here you go, I have it here, I'm a winning case. No. A lot of parties really need those discoveries, need those subpoenas. And in that way, those people do not have this right really to have a claim and to have the process, judicial fair process, as it should be guaranteed in the United States under our court system.
Okay. Jeff, I'm coming to you, and then Adam, I'm coming back to you. Jeff, what's the impact? I mean, up till now we've been talking about private citizens, but what's the impact of the potential of these, or the threat of SLAPP lawsuits on reporters? Hang on.
Experience with this in private practice, where I was representing an e-commerce company, and they asked me to file a lawsuit against a particular customer that had given them a bad review. And they felt it wasn't justified and wanted me to file a defamation lawsuit. And in the course of working on that, we resolved it another way, but they were threatening us with an anti-SLAPP suit. And as to whether or not that particular action, if our defamation action would violate the anti-SLAPP laws, well, in Arizona, for example, they only protect, the anti-SLAPP laws only protect against retaliation for petitioning the government. So it wouldn't violate the Arizona anti-SLAPP law. But in California, it only has to be related to a public issue, which I think is much more broad and inclusive. So what are the implications? I think, for one thing, when you're talking about the realm of e-commerce or interstate or international commerce, whether you're talking about eBay or Amazon or whatever, well, you're going to try to pick your forum very carefully because many of these sellers are selling all over the place.
Okay.
And they're going to pick the ones with the narrowest anti-SLAPP law possible.
Okay, well, Jeff, then let me ask you this. In this topsy-turvy world that we find ourselves in right now, with the past example of Trump's aggressive use of the legal system, fighting this, fighting that, why, and I'm not singling him out per se or his organization, but why wouldn't organizations use that in the political field? That is to say, an individual or a political candidate go into a group forum that we discussed with Adam, like Facebook or chat or whatever, and sue those individuals for expressing their views in a public forum. Jeff?
You mean, why wouldn't Trump do that?
Yeah, or any other political figure, either from the left or the right. If they can use this and it's somebody commenting on a public issue, why can't they go in and shut them down legally in a preemptive way?
Well, if there's defamation, I think they probably can do that. If it's not, if it's merely in retaliation for speech and it's, no pun intended, some trumped up action that is really intended to punish something entirely different or to send a message. And, intent is a hard thing to prove sometimes, but that in that situation, the anti-SLAPP laws in many states would apply.
All right, Adam.
Well, it's no surprise that Guidry wants.
Wait, Adam, isn't this another tool now that you can use to fight against cancel culture? Adam, sorry, go ahead.
No, this is the problem. It's no surprise that Guidry wants to trash the First Amendment, and I guarantee you they're cheering in Lithuania. It's no surprise that Bill wants to sue me because Bill doesn't like me. The problem is this. The result of what they're doing is trying to suppress First Amendment speech that is held sacrosanct under the First Amendment, and speech that is essential to diversity and democracy. Now, if I said something false about Bill or Guidry, they could sue me for defamatory statements. There's a separate cause of action, and they could do that. What they're talking about is suing me for statements that they don't like because they don't like my point of view and they want to suppress my speech. That's antithetical to democracy, to liberty, to the First Amendment, and that's the problem with cancel culture. You have snowflakes trying to sue people just because they don't like what they say. Well, if you want to live in a democracy, you have to welcome diversity in the marketplace of ideas. I do, Guidry does.
No, Adam, and listen, I welcome you, Guidry, to this discussion, and Fernando as well. But I mean,
I don't.
Well, fine. See, that's unfair. But go ahead. Here's the thing. I mean, it seems to me that right now we've got public shaming on social media platforms. You hear it every now and then. A controversial speaker goes to some university, and then the students revolt, and then that person is kicked off, and they got to go to another. That's cancel culture. Why can't that person affirmatively, shut down whatever anti-group, anticipatory, using the law to begin with? Why isn't that a legitimate tool as we move forward? Guidry, Fernando, Adam, Jeff? Who? Guidry, you want to take a gander?
Really, I really did not hear the question well. I have problems hearing.
Okay. Well, Fernando, I'll come back to you. Fernando.
Yes, Bill.
Okay. Well, listen.
I didn't hear your question, but there's a lot of reverb and echoing going on. So I heard portions of your question in terms of a speaker who comes to a campus that's unliked, and then they protest to keep them from talking. Is that your question?
Yeah. Why can't that person who's the target of the smear campaign and all these forums use an anticipatory filing to stop a group from protesting their appearance?
Because he probably may not know who the group is yet before he gets there. Look, that's a hard one to answer in terms of a SLAPP suit, because the guy coming to speak at a campus may not know who's going to jump up and protest against him. He may think it's going to be Group A, and it turns out to be Group B. So in essence, he would probably have to file the lawsuit against the university to ask them to cut the group out, because let's face it, all groups on a campus are sponsored by the school, and they have to have permission from the school to exist. So probably the lawsuit would be against the school first. and then drill it down and add on parties after you figure out who's jumping up against you. But let's face it, these SLAPP lawsuits, these aren't new. I mean, this is right out of the Roy Cohen handbook. Sue them until they give up, which was Trump's mentor. You just keep suing and suing and suing and suing until people shut up and you wear them down. It's not like this stuff is new. Pretty much the part that has become new is that they gave it two law professors gave it a fancy term in the 80s. And then now we have anti-SLAPP lawsuits to try and fight to retaliate.
Okay.
Sarah Palin has a lawsuit against the Times that started in 2017 over an op-ed page. The New York Times, there's no way you're going to tell me that the New York Times has less money than Sarah Palin. In federal court, somehow they managed to drag this out until now. They got the court to retroactively apply the anti-SLAPP lawsuit to Palin's lawsuit, and trial was scheduled for June 21st of 2021. This started in 2017. In all honesty, that's kind of unheard of in federal court. Federal court, you step in, you're at trial like before you blink your eyes. So this can be used in both ways.
Okay, well then, Guidry, why don't the organizations on the left use it to shut up some of these commentators on the right? So, for example, why don't they do that if organizations on the right are doing it to organizations on the left?
I do think that it's mutual. I just think that maybe there is more noise by one side rather than another one, or maybe we just don't know that much. I think it's anybody's game, really. I think the last case that really made me to think about anti-SLAPP law was the Dominion, the voting calculation company that sued Fox Channel. And I remember, I think in May, listening to the news and hearing about this company, that there were a lot of interviews given on Fox, and there was false information by president and his supporters, other prominent politicians in the same rank, who were saying that that company was regulated by Hugo Chavez, Venezuelan communists, that the voting is rigged, and it was over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, the company lost significant amount of money in calculation of future damage as well. And I think they filed a claim against Fox for over $1 billion in damages, if not more. So the point is that Fox response to Fox was using anti-SLAPP law. Mm-hmm. And right now it's here to see, but it was in a public forum, and Fox is saying that anchors can use the information given by the country's president and other politicians. It doesn't matter that it's completely bogus, but they were using it as giving the forum, keeping the forum open. Yet it was obvious that there's some kind of responsibility to really know what is fake and what is real. Come on, company trading for so many years and now saying that it's functioning only as Venezuelan spy system or whatever kind of thing. So it was completely unreasonable. So that's also, where is that reasonableness come into play? At what point?
All right. No. Here, I got the test. Adam, why can't we use SLAPP lawsuits to shut down fake news? Adam, and then Jeff, I'm coming to you. Same question. Adam, I mean, everybody hears about fake news. Guidry just talked about how they were spreading fake news. Why can't I use a SLAPP lawsuit to shut them down?
Because the term fake news is the same as the term akin to hate speech. It's a subjective term. Everybody defines it the way they want to. It's not capable of any objective definition, therefore it's useless. As far as Guidry goes with
the definition of pornography, as we know, Supreme Court has said, the one justice said, I know it when I see it. That's the same kind of thing, Adam. So, I mean, you don't.
No, because the court was talking about obscenity in Miller versus California with that quote. They were not talking about pornography, which is protected, so you're mistaken.
Well,
my point is very simple.
It's the same argument. I mean,
it's not the same argument because one's protected and one isn't. And what Guidry is saying is true about Dominion, but what Dominion did was they sued under defamation laws. When you spread false information and injure someone's reputation, you can sue under defamation laws. That's not what SLAPP suits are. SLAPP suits are designed to sue people for protected free speech simply because they don't like it. And I have to tell you, in an era when this country is so divided, when you walk on college campus and you have thousands of snowflakes react negatively because Ben Shapiro is coming on campus, we need to realize that the First Amendment was there to protect marginalized populations, and that means white people, black people, popular and unpopular opinions. SLAPP lawsuits depress the First Amendment. They hurt democracy, and they're antithetical to liberty.
I know, Adam, and that was fantastic. Except up till now, it's been like the big oil companies beating up on the poor Indians over the oil pipeline in the Dakotas. I mean, it's been all of these big organizations bullying the little person. But I'm glad you say that it's all this snowflakes on college campuses. But up till now, it's been the big corporations.
Yes, it's like a blizzard on college campuses. There's so many snowflakes.
Okay, well, fine. Jeff, I'm coming to you because, why can't we use SLAPP lawsuits to shut down fake news?
Well, I think like Adam just said, fake news is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, and here's just a really silly or extreme example, but let's suppose I think it's untrue that abortion is immoral. Of course, that is not a truth or a fact capable of being proven one way or another. And so I think the idea then is, who is the minister of truth? Who is the arbiter of what is true and what is not true? Now, there may be verifiable facts. I may go out in public and say so-and-so cheated on his wife when really he didn't. And I ruin his reputation. I ruin, somebody else's reputation in the process. That can subject me to a defamation lawsuit. And truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So if he can prove that I really did, that someone really did cheat on his wife, well, then, that's a defense to a defamation claim. With regard to how this all fits into the anti-SLAPP movement. I mean, to go to the 30,000-foot view, I guess, people, it was a right that people fought for in England in the 17th and 18th centuries, where the king would get offended because someone wrote him a letter telling him he ought to do something this way or that way. And it could be dangerous to petition the king. You could be retaliated against. And I think in the modern era, of course, the idea is that there are powerful individuals who can bury you in a lawsuit that doesn't have much merit, but is really aimed at getting you to stop fighting their project at City Hall or whatever the case may be. So,
okay, all right. Okay, Nick, you've had some time to think about it. I'm glad that you could certainly join us, bring to bear your years of experience, Professor Palavita. SLAPP lawsuits. Can we shut down fake news? Is it just a bunch of snowflakes getting mad? I mean, what are we doing here, Nick?
Well, how do you, Bill, how do you tell whether it's a fake lawsuit or not? In other words, the thing is, remember the thing is the case, what was it, Trump versus Facebook? Are you going to say that's a fake lawsuit? I mean, who's going to make that decision, counselor?
Okay, well, I say it. I'll decide fake news. Right. I mean, Adam will decide. He thinks.
Oh, I see. Okay, strategic lawsuits against public participation,
right,
which is quite common among the corporate elite. In other words, I want to shut up Adam. Okay, I've been trying for years on this show to shut up Adam. I can't do that unless I get rid of him altogether. So I got really tired of this guy. So I hire attorneys in Midgeville, Georgia. I said, keep this man busy. Sue him for something. Okay. And this way it'll keep him quiet because he's going to be busy spending his days going to depositions, answering interrogatories, going through legal processes, going through court. So basically I tie this guy up into court because I don't like what he said. And you have a problem with that, Bill?
No, actually, I don't. I don't.
Oh, good. I don't either.
I have a
No, I
problem.
don't
I
support
have
that.
my problem.
I don't know
I don't
what
either.
Adam's problem is.
In
But
fact, the might makes right.
Adam, go ahead. What do you got?
You know, Nick shows up fashionably late like Joe Biden to a press conference. I think he should be shunned. I think he should be marginalized. And nothing he says has any credibility. He should be the subject of a SLAPP lawsuit. The bottom line is this. I welcome all ideas, whether unpopular or popular, from the left, from the right, from the middle, from all races, from all sexual orientations, from all gender identities, from all backgrounds. The more speech, the better. I welcome that because that's essential to a democracy. These people, they want to suppress speech. No, I'm not doing that. I believe in freedom and liberty.
Okay, but Nick, look, here's the thing. In the advent of, today's age, when anybody can get on and, because according to Adam, our professor down in Georgia, our esteemed professor down in Georgia, anybody, the standard of participating in public discourse could include Facebook, could include comments that I make on any other media platform, TikTok, Instagram, that kind of stuff. Anything I may say could be reviews on Yelp. Any of that stuff qualifies me as participating in the public discourse. And once I've done that, then I'm in this open field. So why can't I go after these so-called influencers, which could be, just some nitwit down there with like 1 million followers that we've never even heard of, who has pink hair and purple lipstick and running around telling me that, some mud from their backyard is the next big beauty secret. I mean, Nick, why can't technology, why can't I use a SLAPP lawsuit, just shut them up and shut up all of their influence?
You can. I mean, the thing is, this is just part of our democratic process. I don't know why Adam's so bent out of shape about this. He's talking about freedom. I'm talking about freedom too. The freedom and the right of a corporation to actually keep these
use their money to suppress the small guy, right?
To keep your utopian liberal ideas to yourself, buddy. Okay. Right. And the thing is, since I can't get them to do that, what I do is I say, okay, I got my fleet of attorneys out there, and they'll keep you in court all the time, so you don't have time to go through all your, we're going to have everybody's ideas, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. No, you get to spend a lot of time in court, buddy. That's what you get.
I could see Nick at a book burning ceremony.
All right. Okay, well, Nick,
exactly.
Okay, well, Nick, I have a question.
Okay. Case closed.
Nick, I have a question for you, and Adam, I want you to know it's inspired by you. And Nick, that's this: that usually we think of free speech and on the campus academic freedom with professors. Yeah. But listen, and so normally we would argue that they have some protection, academic freedom, freedom of speech. They get to say whatever they want. But listen, what happens when those professors stick their nose in public disputes? Doesn't that strip them of their aura or their shield?
They get their nose cut off.
For Adam now and just say, I don't care that he's a professor. He stepped over the line. He stuck his nose in and I don't care that he's a professor and he's a subject matter expert. Can I go after people like him on these campuses that keep screwing things up?
Yeah, of course. It does all the time. Do you see just recently a professor at Portland State was shown the door by his or her liberal ideas that existed and talked a lot by Adam of freedom, equality, all this other stuff. They said, okay, you get your freedom, equality in another university. That happens all the time, Bill. I don't know why you're surprised about it. Happened this week at Portland State University.
Fernando and then Deidre, and I'm coming to you, Jeff. Yeah. Fernando, I mean, here we go.
I'm sure Fernando will agree with me. Might makes right, and this is right.
As long as you're hiring me, not those bozos in Midville, Georgia, absolutely. I got student loans to pay. Absolutely.
But you need local counsel.
It's conversations like this that make me wish I was deaf.
Wow.
We're just trying to bring you to reality, guys. I mean, your ivory tower stuff. Stop it, please.
Well, you're not deaf. You're just dense.
I'm supporting you here. I'm with you, even though I was pointing on some fallacies, faults, like problems with anti-SLAPP laws. I'm a big supporter of anti-SLAPP laws, specifically for the reason that, against the purpose that Nick mentioned. I think it's bizarre. I think it's ridiculous to really even allow the idea that big corporate company, so it doesn't matter, anybody could use the legal system to be able to manipulate and extend the judicial process and really.
Okay, no, Deidre, you don't get off the hook that fast, because now I've got the international example for you. The young woman, the the reporter, I think over in the Philippines, who has been an investigative reporter for decades, exposing the excesses of the Duarte administration in the Philippines. They've been using essentially the criminal legal system to to shut her up. They've seized her assets, they've convicted her, they've thrown her in jail, they have her on house arrest, and that's no different than what Putin is doing over in Russia with Navalny, Navalny, and keeping him quiet and throwing him in jail on trumped-up charges. Now, and then there's another example of what China is doing in Hong Kong to their press with regard to utilizing all of these new laws they're creating to shut up dissent and silence them. Now, how is that any different, Deidre, international?
No, I agree with you. It is not different. It's like a first step before we get there. You made a right point, and I think you answered the question yourself by giving those examples. It's not different. It's not okay, and it should be used for that. Yet we should acknowledge the negative parts of anti-SLAPP laws and not fully blindly follow them without really looking at certain requirements by the law, such as substantial evidence that plaintiff has to demonstrate. I'm leaving that subject, but no, I think that freedom of speech is essential. And I think corporate interest, especially right now when the United States is so divided, should really take a second seat. I think we're better than this.
Okay, now Jeff, I'm coming to you, and Jeff, I want you to put on your constitutional, your constitutional hat, and also I want you to combine it with your hat that you represent the state. And hypothetically, a state's dealing with this issue. I mean, what's the best argument the government can make or the state can make that says that on these issues of either SLAPP lawsuits or anti-SLAPP? I mean, how does the state fit in? Because I know we've got private interest, corporate interest. Why is the state even involved? Hang
on. You have to be petitioning the government to have anti-SLAPP protection, whereas in other states it's much larger. So I think one of the questions is, how far can you go in privatizing the First Amendment? In other words, I have a First Amendment right to say certain things. How much legal enforcement is there of my right outside of the government not being able to do things to me for what I say? How much does it protect me from private individuals? And that's I think an interesting question, and different states have dealt with it in different ways. One other thought I had to throw out to the panel and see what people think. How does this apply, for example, in reverse? Do I have a First Amendment right to petition a court of law? Is there a First Amendment right in going into court on a matter of public interest or concern? And I'm thinking of Steve Pidgeon, who is an attorney in the state of Washington, and he sued the lieutenant governor, I believe it was, maybe the secretary of state in Washington, wanting an audit of the voting machines up there and so forth. Now, for bringing this lawsuit, he was pressured by the Bar Association up there to drop the lawsuit and was brought up to have his question whether he should continue to have his license. That has a chilling effect on his being able to file lawsuits on matters of public concern. Now, I'm sure that what they would argue on the other side is, well, he was bringing a meritless lawsuit that was politically motivated and so on. But I think there's a legitimate question. Should anti-SLAPP protections apply outside of the strict, narrow area of just lawsuits? Should it apply in administrative proceedings like a disbarment proceeding for an attorney?
Nick?
No. I mean, the thing is, you get too many of these wingnuts out there with their agendas like Adam. And you have to keep these people down, because otherwise what happens, they end up taking over and they create mayhem. Okay. And so one way, whether that guy likes it or not, that person in the state of Washington, all he's doing is trying to create trouble. So the bar did the right thing. Okay, you want to just come out here and be a horse's spittoon, then goodbye law license. If Adam wants to talk about all his liberal utopia, you can do that on the mountaintop of Midgeville. But please don't spread that filth around the rest of the country. If not, then you'll be visiting some attorneys there, and you'll be spending a lot of your bloody time in court. It's just a natural progression of things. It's Darwinian. It makes sense. They should get rid of all these crazy anti-SLAPP suits and this whole idea of SLAPP suits. They actually make sense, Bill.
Okay, Adam, I'm coming to you. I want you to begin our lightning round as we begin to close. So I'm going to go Adam, and then Fernando, and then Guidry, and then we'll circle back with you, Jeff, and then we're gonna then we'll have a discussion. So Adam, you're up, please.
I believe that it is essential to a democracy that we welcome speech that makes us uncomfortable, speech that's unpopular, speech that's offensive, such as Nick's speech, which is delivered from a country club while he's stewing over the millions that he continues to make. I believe that we need to welcome diversity in this country, diverse ideas, diverse viewpoints, and we need to welcome viewpoints from people who would otherwise be marginalized or discriminated against. To do that, you have to have a robust First Amendment. That's what I believe in. That's what's essential to liberty, and that's what's essential to democracy and equality.
Okay, Fernando, young man, your notions on this. I mean, outside of you getting paid. Okay.
Listen, that's all that counts, buddy. Look, there are some of these suits that have merit when you're petitioning because a corporation is going to do something that is destructive, or the government is going to do something that's destructive. Those are fine. But the reality of the situation is that there are a lot of nudniks out there chaining themselves to a tree and holding up, progress. I was in court once where this lady was holding up the development of a building next to her house because she didn't like the way the windows looked. And she was trying to get the court to have the contractor remove all the windows and put in the windows that she liked. And then she brought them to court again for something else. It was at the point where the judge saw her walk into the courtroom, knew her by her first name, and just said, "Hey, just have a seat. Your case will be called next. We're waiting for the attorney from the construction company." Those types of suits are the ones that the anti-SLAPP laws are designed for. Not for when somebody makes a claim against me, and I know it's false. I go and sue them for defamation, and then they turn around and they hit me with the anti-SLAPP statute, and now you're speeding up discovery, and I got to worry about they might have to pay your attorney's fees because I'm not going to be able to meet the burden of actual malice, which is almost impossible to prove. Plus, nobody's going to have all the discovery ready. And I find it interesting, by the way, that all of a sudden today Adam is for all this First Amendment rights, when in the past he's been against them. And he's the one that wants to be the one who decides what's good speech and what is bad speech. This has me all confused all of a sudden.
Okay.
This is a false representation of my position.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
that's full clips.
Okay. Well, depending on, we might be able to get back for a rebuttal on that. But right now, Guidry, please. Adam, you can scribble down some notes. Guidry.
Fernando, don't be confused. Look, Nick and Bill, they express their desire to Adam. So Adam is definitely, protecting himself, Darwin's. But when I think about anti-SLAPP law, I think about a sexy term that is well accepted by this, our generation. There is a popular narrative of good versus bad, and we're gonna get to the better future there. Yet, I would caution ourselves to take a step back and approach this anti-SLAPP laws with some caution, because I think that there is a long journey between reality and perception. And all of those suits, really, or majority of those suits, involve certain part of reality, perception, intention. So yeah, let's keep anti-SLAPP laws, but let's keep open eyes as well towards it.
Okay, Jeff. Hang on.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I'd like to address one example that Fernando gave because I think it illustrates a couple of the larger constitutional issues that are at play, at least around the edges of anti-SLAPP legislation. He talked about a tree hugger chaining himself to a tree. Now, and that could be considered public participation. He doesn't want someone to come in and remove those trees and is trying to stop that. Now, if that tree is on his own property, that is one thing. But if he's going on somebody else's property to participate in that way, then I think he's gone beyond what he has the right to do under the First Amendment. My right to freedom of religion, for example, doesn't allow me to say that your living room is now my holy shrine and I can come in and start to worship there without your permission. And the fact that he may be exercising First Amendment rights, if he's exercising them while trespassing, the First Amendment is going to be no protection to that. Now, how that applies in the anti-SLAPP context, I think would be similar. If a tree hugger is chaining himself to a tree in the name of free speech, but that's not his tree and not his land, he's welcome to go in and participate by going down to the county council meetings or whatever and petitioning his government. But that isn't an unlimited right to go out and infringe on the rights of other people.
And well said, because Jeff, actually, I want to point this out for our audience. One time, I think, because you used on another subject, you used the example of your right to believe in self-defense does not extend to your ability to build a nuclear bomb in my basement, which I found absolutely delightful. Adam, I'm coming to you very quickly for a rebuttal to Fernando, and then Nick, I'm coming to you. Adam, did you scratch some notes?
No, I've previously argued that there's a very narrow category of speech consisting of horribly degrading words directed at people that cause significant emotional distress and other damages. Words like God hates fags.
Okay.
I have a funeral of a homosexual soldier who died in Iraq.
Okay.
I'm talking about a narrow category of speech. Otherwise, I believe in the robust exchange of diverse ideas. Most of the people on this panel, except Guidry, whom I agree with, do not, and I think that that's sad. And I think, once again, they seem to be like snowflakes too.
Nick, I'm coming to you, but I guess the question, I think that we here in the panel know, can I just get a quick yes or no vote? Do we think that that SLAPP lawsuits are bad or good? All those in favor of saying that they're okay or they're good, please say yes. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Those who hate them.
I hate them.
Okay. All right, well, then there we go. Nick, your concluding thoughts and what you think about these lawsuits. Tree huggers unlawfully interfering with people, or my right to shut somebody up. Nick?
Well, let me make something perfectly clear. If Adam wants to chain himself to Stone Mountain, Georgia, I'm okay with that. But if he wants to spew his liberty and speech inside my corporation, he's going to be spending a lot of time with SLAPP suits. That's what they're designed for, is so that the venom doesn't exist in corporate America.
I did.
Hopefully we keep that today. So that's my final thought.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Excellent. And we will be back with another episode of the Lawyer's Den on behalf of the International Broadcast Media, IBM TV. To you out there in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you happen to be watching us. We welcome you and thank you once again. See you next time.
then Guidry goes, let's go look at something that took place 40 years ago. Who cares? Okay, that's political.